Hey, I'm Jessica, and welcome to Reality Check. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode where I check off your list with Love Island episodes 16 and 17. Casa, Amor. Casa, Amor. It's Casa Amor time. It is absolutely all of our favorite times of the year when Casa Amor is live. It has entered the villa, and I cannot be more excited. However, I definitely have a lot of thoughts on the approach of Casa Amor this year. I don't understand. Listen, you know that saying, when something's good, don't fix it. If something's broke, don't fix it. Why are they breaking Casa Amor? Like, I don't understand why they're changing it. I don't. I mean, I think I have an idea, and I have a lot of questions, and maybe why I think they have changed the format of Casa Amor this year. But in the past, it's always worked. You know what I mean? There's always couples that turns heads. There's always couples that you think are strong, but then one of them or both of them come back with someone else from Casa Amor. Casa Amor has always done what it needed to do, right? It created drama. It created hype. It is so entertaining. But I think this season is a very different season in the fact of there's no couple that is closed off. There's at least one person in each couple that wants to still stay open. And so how can Casa Amor have that same effect if someone in each couple, or if both couples equally are okay to be open? It's going to lose the whole excitement of Casa Amor, right? Like when you're waiting for the guys to enter the villa and you see them arm in arm, or maybe not, and then the girl is maybe arm in arm with a guy coupled up, like that, it's so exciting, it's so crazy. And then to see their reactions, and then we as the viewer don't know what they're gonna do, like how they're gonna choose their partner. Are they gonna stay with them? Are they not gonna couple up with them? Like, it's just so exciting. And I think this season, especially knowing that majority of the couples, well, all the couples are open, just certain people maybe in the couple aren't open to explore other connections. So it's just, knowing that that is what's happening, then obviously the whole effect and the whole lure of Casa Amor, it's not going to be as intense and as exciting. So I think I get why they changed the format or tried to change the format, but I really I'm not loving what they've done, because it's now feeling very producer manipulated. And the whole point of reality TV is to make it feel like it's real, like it's natural. Like, obviously we know as viewers and avid lovers of reality TV, we know that things are definitely producer manipulated. We see it on The Bachelor all the time. But I'm finding Casa Amor and the things that are kind of happening and the way that they're coupling up people, they're forcing people to couple up with each other, that feels very producer manipulated, and they want certain storylines to play out, and they're manipulating situations. They're essentially taking matters into their own hands, and they're like, okay, if you're not going to couple up in Casa Amor, then we're going to do the work for you. So it kind of gives that element of, oh, people are going to couple up naturally. Oh my gosh, like that, just that sheer excitement when watching Casa Amor, even sometimes like disbelief. Oh my gosh, Taylor coupled up with someone on his own accord. Like, it can get so messy, but that's the beauty of Casa Amor. But now everything is forced in the sense of they are told they have to couple up. They have to sleep in the same bed with each other. Like, they have to do all these things. They have to go back to the villa, all of them. So I have so many thoughts. Of the last 2 minutes of episode 16. What the heck was that? First of all, let me just say this. The last, 20 minutes of episode 16, I was not fooled. Many people were fooled, but your girl knows something when she sees it. She can clock a twist from a mile away, and I knew they were not sending home their queen of the villa, Olandria. maybe Nick, but there was just no way because I knew that so many people voted Nick for their number one Islander just a few days prior. So I knew it wasn't going to happen. And the whole setup of it all, it was so clear to me that they weren't going anywhere. Now, what happens afterwards is left to be seen, and we'll talk about it. But yeah, like I didn't fall for it. Many people are like, oh my gosh, I entered all these different stages of grief during those 20 minutes. Like, I get it. You're also, not 100% confident, and maybe they are going home, but I just knew. I was like, there is absolutely no way that they are sending these two big OGs from day one. They're sending them home. There's just no way. They already did us dirty with sending Jeremiah and Hannah home. There's no way that these two are leaving the villa. So let's start off with Casa Amor, and let's get into the men and women that have now entered the villa. So like I mentioned, there was a lot of changes to Casa Amor this year, and one of them being that the girls actually go to Casa Amor and the guys stay in the villa. Usually, every single season that I've seen, the guys always go to Casa Amor. Again, I don't really know why it needed to be changed, why fix something that's not broken. They also find out that everyone is single and not in their original couples anymore, and so now they all have to couple up. And again, like, why? Okay, so I have a lot of thoughts as to why they did what they did, like why the producers made this new rule, I guess, of the show. And I think, look, I already said in the beginning. First of all, actually, my number one question is, did they make this rule up during filming? Like, while filming was happening, were producers like, okay, we need to change course and change the approach of Casa Amor because these couples are just not strong right now. And so Casa Amor is going to not hit the way it's supposed to because we don't have really any solid couples that are locked in. So to me, if I had to answer that question, I would say, yeah, I do. I think they did make this up while filming. I think a lot of what they do, they make up on the fly. We know that. Like, yes, okay, here's our show, here's Love Island, here's the overall structure of how we want the show to run, but everything is made up on the fly. The bombshells that come in, they're not set in stone. They're not like, oh, we're gonna have Iris come in on this day. They look at the situations, they look at the dumpings, they look at how the other couples are doing, and again, I think, and Nina, as a bombshell, I think the producers missed the mark on her because she should have come in way earlier when Huda and Jeremiah were in a really good spot, because it's clear that Andanina was brought in for Jeremiah. So if they brought her in earlier, that would have been a whole other storyline that would have been crazy. It would have been a crash out, but in a totally different way, right? And it would have given Jeremiah an opportunity to get, well, maybe would have given him an opportunity to know Andina, and then Huda would be like, oh my gosh, like, you're turning heads, and that would have been absolutely insane. Going back to my point, there are so many things that producers do on the fly as they're filming, and I think this is one of them. I don't think they went into this season being like, this is how we're going to approach Casa Amor. Maybe they were like, okay, girls are going to Casa this time. Like, literally, who cares? Like, I literally don't see why the girls needed to go, but whatever. But I think looking at all the couples, they were like, okay, we need to change course and do something different because we need drama and we need people to actually couple up and try to form relationships and make them form relationships, at least try to, because they're, maybe they're going to feel bad for doing so, i.e. Cierra. You know what I mean? So I think maybe another reason too as to why they decided to approach Casa more differently is maybe producers were just listening to us and can see verbatim that there is all this game playing going on so much. And you know what too? I find it so weird that we see the OGs really scrambling to partner up and form connections, because that's on the Casa people. The Casa people are supposed to be the ones to scramble and make sure that they're, forming connections and pulling people for chats. And it's crazy that we're seeing some of the OGs having to do that because it's an uneven number, right? So I believe it's 5 Casa people, but then 6 OGs on either end. So obviously one of the OGs gets, voted out, and we already know what happens there. But it's like, okay, they need to scramble and they need to figure out and make connections, because if they don't, then they go home. So I also don't really love that, because I do think Casa Amor is really for the people that come into Casa Amor. Like, they're the ones that should be trying to form these connections, trying to pull people for chats, because it can get messy. And, I think especially with the OGs having to pull people for chats and form connections on their end, I think it's kind of harder in a way, because they also wouldn't want to step on toes of their girls or of their boys, right? Take Amaya, for example. Amaya is the one that was single. Let's just say, for example, she has a really great conversation with the guy that maybe Chelley is partnered up with, because I think Amaya and Chelley have a closer relationship, I think, stronger than her and Amaya. So let's just say that. You could argue that Amaya's gonna be like, no, like, I don't want to do that to Chelley, because I actually really like this guy for Chelley, even though that I risk of being eliminated. It's too hard for me to form a connection or to make out with this guy or to do whatever, like to pull him for chats, because I wouldn't want to do that to Chelley. Like, maybe, I mean, she did it with Olandria, but I also just know that Amaya knows that Olandria and Taylor isn't really a thing. But I also just think in this format, the girls in particular maybe just don't want to step on the toes of their girls, right? I think in future seasons, I don't want to see this kind of Casa again. I really am not loving it. I don't love the fact that they have to form these connections. I get it. It's only been 2 episodes. So maybe they have this grand master plan that we don't know about. I'm sure they do. So I do want to see the whole Casa Amor experience play out before I give like my final opinions on this new Casa approach. But for right now, it's, I don't know. Like, I don't love it. I don't love the fact that they all needed to couple up. I don't love the fact that it's all on the OGs to have to form these connections and make these chats. Like, it's just weird to me to see them trying to spark these connections versus it really should be the Casa people that are shaking in their boots. You know what I mean? So anyways, let's get into the Casa Amor people that come into the island. And I just want to give some, I don't know, let's do some quick thoughts about what I think about each of them, and maybe even, what I think about the new couples that they're all in. So let's start with, I'm just going to go in order. I'm looking at an article right now. Let's go in order with Grayson. So Grayson, Hannah 2.0. Like, I'm sorry. It's not just that she's blonde. She actually kind of resembles Hannah a little bit. We haven't really seen her on our screens, so it's very hard for me to give an opinion. But, it's clear as day why her and Pepe coupled up with each other, because obviously he was into her because, she's Hannah 2.0. Again, here's the thing too, is the girls had to choose the guys, and vice versa. Like the Casa people had to choose the OGs. So again, that's also interesting. Like, maybe the OGs don't even want to be with that person either, but they're stuck with them because they, stand on their heart or whatever. So I think, I don't really have much an opinion because we haven't really seen them as a connection at all, which is telling. But I think, it makes sense to me that her and Pepe are coupled up with each other. And let's move on to Coco. Coco is absolutely stunning. I'm like, how does Taylor get all of these just beautiful women? He got Olandria, now he's getting Coco, and now we see in the last episode, like the last recoupling, is Taylor is now with Clarke, and you cannot, you can't deny their connection with each other. And it's something he even says, I have never felt, I didn't feel this with Olandria in the first 24 hours. And I feel this crazy strong connection with Clarke in the first 24 hours of getting to know her. So look, it's going to be messy for sure. But if Taylor wants to pursue Clarke because he feels like he has a stronger connection with her, then he has to do that. And I do like that he is exploring that. I do. Things are going to get very messy because obviously Olandria, the moment she stepped on the Casa Amor grounds, she was closed off. And every single boy saw that, which is why she ended up single in the end. But you can't deny Taylor and Clarke's connection. And I have to be honest, I actually like them together. I do. I think they look really good together. And again, like, you didn't see any of that chemistry from him and Olandria. And this is what we've been saying since day one. They just felt like literally friends. Friend zoned from day one. I genuinely think Olandria is, really likes Taylor. Like, I actually think Olandria thinks that her connection with Taylor is amazing. And I think it might have something to do with her being single for 5 years. She said it in the very end of the episode. She's like, all I want is love. I've been single for 5 years and all I want is love. So I feel for her, and I think maybe too, her just not really being, I don't know if she's dated a lot within those 5 years. She says she's a slow burn. So all of that kind of adding up, it's like, okay, I can kind of maybe see why she actually thinks that her and Taylor's connection is strong. But Taylor and Clarke for sure have an amazing connection. And I'm happy, I'm happy for him because I think he does deserve it. And finally, he's exploring. Finally, this is what I've been saying. The guy hasn't pulled anyone for chats up until episode like 15, right? Like anyone other than Olandria, he hasn't. And so let's see what happens. It's going to be messy. And if Olandria ends up going back to the villa, because my prediction is that she's going to go back to the villa and Nick is going to go into Casa, well, then that is going to be very messy. Very, very messy. So anyways, I think Coco, so now Coco and Ace are paired up, which, I mean, Ace was very attracted to Coco. The way that, he talks to her, I just don't know how to read Ace. I'm going to be honest. I just don't know. Like, I don't know if he's genuine. I personally think he's playing a game, and anything that kind of comes out of his mouth, even just his tone, I'm like, you just seem like something is up. I can't pinpoint what it is, but you just seem way too calm. You seem way too cool. You seem way too collected. And there's just something about him where I can't pinpoint it. But I think he's looking at Coco now and is like, eye on the prize, baby. Eye on the prize. We got to make it to the end. So that's what I think. And I don't necessarily think he was, into his connection with Chelley. I don't necessarily know if he's into his connection with Coco. He was coupling up people to people to people to, have this storyline that he tried and he tried and he tried and he finally made this connection, and then they make it to the end. I don't know. So anyways, do I think they look good together? Yeah, sure. But we'll see, because I just don't trust Ace. I don't trust him whatsoever. I already talked about Clarke with Taylor. Think she's stunning. She was partnered up with Nick in the beginning. Did not see that at all. It didn't really make sense to me. So I'm glad that she has now found her way to Taylor, because you can just see it. They have a really strong connection, and we'll see where it goes. Vanna, all I'm going to say is this. We need to tone it down on the filler. We do. You're 21 years old. There shouldn't be that much filler in your face. Anyways, she originally was partnered up with Ace. She comes into Casa Amor, into the villa, and she's like, I've had my eye on Ace, and he wasn't into her. And I barely even saw them have any sort of chats or any conversation. She is into TJ. Her and TJ have chats. One chat in particular that I am very upset about, that I still can't get over. Her and TJ talking about Justin Timberlake and how early 2000s music is considered a throwback. I am not okay with it. I'm not okay with it, because that just means that I am getting old It means I'm getting old. And they're babies. Like, they're 21. I think he's like 23. So they're like, oh my gosh, like oldies, Justin Timberlake, Neo, Nelly, like Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears throwbacks. I'm like, like I can't get over the fact that they're saying early 2000s as throwbacks. Are they right? Maybe, but I'm not going to admit it. I'm just not going to admit it. And also, too, I'm sorry, TJ, bringing up that conversation because he says he looks like Justin Timberlake. No, you don't look anything like Justin Timberlake. Don't give yourself that much credit. And also, too, can I just say this? Justin Timberlake is still on a world tour. How is he considered a throwback? He's still making music. He's still touring. He's still in concerts. I'm not going to admit it. I don't agree. I'm not going to admit it, even if I do agree. But I just, in that moment, I was like, oh my gosh. I'm old AF. One thing that I do just want to mention about TJ before I move on is he just gives me the ick. He gives me the ick. There's something about him and this connection in particular. It's I'm not feeling it. I'm not buying it. I don't really care about it. And because of that, let's just move on. Last but not least, we have Jaden. And Jaden is coupled up with Austin. Austin is very into her. This is, I would say, I guess, even Austin's first connection in the villa. And I mean, I don't know. I don't really have much to say about her and Austin because I don't really care for Austin. I hope he doesn't do her dirty because she seems like a really sweet girl. But I need to see more of her in order to really form an opinion. But for right now, I'm like, okay, if you want to be with Austin, I guess go for it. All right, let's move into the guys. So we start off with Elan, and he's from Toronto, which I really love that they're bringing people from over here onto the villa. He says he lives in Miami, so I guess he moved from Toronto to Miami. We saw that a few seasons ago with, what's his name? Matthias, I think. He was also from Toronto, lived in Miami, but you didn't know he lived in Toronto because he never said it. He was just like, I live in Miami. I'm live in Miami, but he is from Toronto. He was a Casa Amor boy too. So anyways, I am liking Elan. Listen, I actually do like all the Casa boys. I find usually the Casa boys are really annoying. And I'm just like, I don't really care about you. But I actually think some of the Casa boys are a lot better than the boys in the villa. We've all been complaining about the boys in the villa. So I'm actually here for some of the Casa boys, and Elan is one of them. He is coupled up with Cierra. I called it from a mile away. This guy looks like Nick. He literally looks like Nick. They have the same hair. I don't know about personality, but because even Cierra says, like, him and Nick, like, Nick is more, like, funny, goofy. Elan seems more serious and subdued, which I think is more on the same wavelength as Cierra. And I think Cierra, just seeing her in the next 2 episodes, isn't really giving Elan a fair shot because she's just thinking about Nick. And little does she know, Mr. Ho Nick is over in the other villa getting to know all of these girls. I mean, trying, because then he gets voted out. But who knows what's going to happen next. So I really just want Cierra to, I wish he knew Nick, like, the type of guy he is. He's not on the show to find love. Like, it's just so clear as day. He's here for a good time. He just wants to mix and mingle and make out and all of those things. He's not here to form love. Like, you can just tell he's not. He's very happy to jump ship wherever the case may be. And I really just don't want to see Cierra get hurt because I love her. I love her, and I do like her and Elan together. So we'll see. I don't know. I need to see them play out a little bit more. Like, I mean, I guess we don't know. Like, we don't know what's going to happen with Nick and Olandria. We don't know if Nick is going to go to Casa. We don't know if Nick is going to go on another island with Olandria and there's going to be other bombshells. Let's just say Nick somehow forms another connection with someone else. Somehow, like, goes on another island, like, whatever the case may be. And then, you know how sometimes they get the text from the other villa with videos of what's going on in Casa Amor or in the villa. And let's say Cierra, because I think that's the only person at this moment that cares of what their partner is doing in the other villa. So I think she's going to get some sort of video showing what Nick is doing, because he's going to be having a good time and whatever, you know, chatting and kissing and all these things. And I think that's going to then send Cierra as a downward spiral. And then maybe, you know, wake her up to be like, okay, he clearly doesn't care about me. I need to move on. And I need to, you know, try and explore this connection with Elan. I'm here, and I need to do that. So we'll see. Not that I hope that she gets this video by any means, but if I can kind of predict what's going to happen, if it's going to happen with anyone, it's going to be her. I just don't know logistically how she'll get the videos, because I don't know what's happening with Nick yet. And I don't know if he's going back to, I don't know if he's going to Casa. I don't know if he's going on island. I don't know what he's doing. So let's see. I hope that Cierra opens herself up to him, because I think she really should explore that. I really do. He seems like a really good guy. Chris, man, oh man, this guy is tall. He's like 6'7". The guys that have come into Casa Amor this season are massive, like so tall. I think this is like the tallest group of Casa guys they've ever had. And I like him. I really like Chris with Chelley. Like, when I've been saying Chelley needs a guy on her level, this is what I'm talking about. Chris is it. I am loving them together. And it's so funny because he's literally like a whole foot taller than Ace. Ace has got to be like 5'7", and Chris is 6'7". And I like them. I like them a lot. And even the girls have also told Chelley that they really like them together a lot, which is telling. It's so telling. They were probably never Team Ace, and maybe are coming around to the fact of, oh, maybe Ace is a little bit of a slimy playboy. So I think Chris seems like a great, genuine guy, very much on the same level as Chelley. So I'm excited to just, you know, see their connection flourish in Casa. All right, we have Zach, which, I mean, so he has the same tattoo as Rob, like the snake tattoo. I'm like, did you get that tattoo after seeing Love Island last year or the year before? And you're like, oh, wow, I need to get that snake tattoo, because that is just going to up my chances on going on Love Island. So anyways, I really don't have much to say about this guy. He's partnered up with Iris. I don't really love him with Iris. I don't know. I feel like now that I'm getting the ick from TJ, and now that I don't know. I don't know really much about Zach, so I have to give them a fair shot. But I'm like, I don't know if I love Zach and Iris together. So again, we don't really know too much about him. But again, he seems like an okay guy, but we haven't seen too much about him at all. JD is partnered up with Huda. Bless this man, because he saw, I'm sure, a lot of things about Huda. Maybe not. Maybe he didn't see the crash out of Huda. Like, maybe the producers really didn't. Actually, you know what? I bet you that's what happened. I bet you the producers did not want anyone in Casa or coming into Casa see the crash out of Huda, because I've seen online that producers were very close to exiting Huda from the show because of her behavior, the way that she was acting. So I also feel like if they did show the way that Huda was acting and the name calling and treating people and the crash out with Jeremiah, like everything, if they showed that to the Casa people, the guys would be so turned off. Who out of those guys would actually partner up with her? So now that I'm thinking about it, he probably has no idea of the crash out, which is very interesting. But he knows that she's a mom, obviously, and now it's no surprise. And the thing is about Huda is she's like, yeah, I'm a mom, it's no big deal. But it was a big deal 10 days ago. It was a big deal. You didn't want to tell Jeremiah, or you were waiting to tell Jeremiah. Still, the guys in the house don't even know that you're a mom. Most of them don't. It has been a big deal. So don't sit there and say, oh, it's not a big deal, because it has been to you, right? You've been treating it like a big deal. I think they're okay. Again, he seems like a good guy. I don't want him to get hurt. We've seen the pattern of Huda. We've seen what she's capable of. Let's just not hurt this man, because he seems like a little teddy bear. Zach with a K. He is fully tatted. He originally partnered up with Olandria, and he, got the vibe that she is just not into she's just not into being there. I think her head just wasn't in the game. Like I said, the second she left the villa, she is thinking about Taylor. And so, he basically took the opportunity to get to know the other girls in the villa, in particular Amaya. Because Amaya, like I said, Amaya was the one girl that was single. I felt so bad for her. The fact that she was left single when all of the guys were choosing who they wanted to be with. Like, not a Amaya Papaya. She's such a beautiful girl. Like, she means so well. Like, she'll treat you good. So I felt for her, seeing her standing alone. But I'm happy for her that she really did put herself out there to get to know Zach. They shared a few kisses. And I think, she had to do what she had to do. Even though it made Olandria leave the villa, she had to think about herself, right? And she's there to spark a connection. And if Olandria isn't going to invest herself in any connection, then she really doesn't have a point in being there, right? Like, you can't just not give anyone the time of day. There's going to be repercussions for that. So I like, though, that Amaya had a conversation with Olandria and told her, like, look, I kissed Zach. I think this was the night before, and we're forming a connection. She gave her the heads up. That's something that Huda should have done to Hannah when she pulled Pepe for her chat. Just literally giving them the heads up. So in this case, again, it just shows that Amaya is a great girl. She's a girl's girl. I'm looking forward to seeing what's in store with her and Zach, because look, like, I've been seeing this online and I wouldn't be mad at it. Could you imagine that Amaya and Zach couple up here in Casa, and Amaya has had this storyline from, I don't know what day she came in, but she came in early on, of no guy was into her. She couldn't form a connection. She was with Austin. That didn't go anywhere. She was with Ace. He dumped her literally the day that he chose her. Like, she went from guy to guy, and no guy really gave her the time of day. She goes to Casa. She meets Zach. They couple up with each other, and they take it to the end. America, we would all buy that storyline because we all love Amaya so much. She is just such a great girl, and she has gone through it in the villa. Do I think that's going to happen? Like, not necessarily. I don't think she'll win the show, but maybe she'll make it to like top 3, just given the fact of everyone is really rallying against her. I think that would be a really cool storyline, and I would be here for it. We have Bryan next, and he is partnered up with Andina. Again, it made sense. As soon as I saw him, I was like, he's definitely going to partner up with Andina. Andina hasn't been given any airtime these past 2 episodes, and I think it's because she just came in. Not to be rude, but like, we don't really care because you just came in. You were single coming into here. Like, you didn't have any sort of connection. You were literally here for a day. So they're not going to pour, their storyline and show her so much because she's brand new into the villa. And they're just, 2 couples that were single coming in, matching up, getting to know each other. So I think they look good together, but we're not really seeing them a lot because, again, Andina came in way too late. I think she should have come in way earlier, but it is what it is. So I think they'll ride it out until, not the end, but I think they'll ride it out. All right, that's all the guys and all the girls. So this recoupling, like I said, I was not surprised. I knew when I was watching it that Olandria and Nick were 100% not leaving the villa. There was absolutely no way that was going to happen. And again, it's now just a matter of how are they going to come back? Are they each going to go to either villa? Are they going to go on another island? Are they going to be coupled up? Like, there's so many questions. I wish they didn't show the last 2 minutes. I wish they didn't show Olandria pulling up in the G-Wagon. I wish they didn't see Nick going into the G-Wagon. First of all, that was like so staged. It was so staged. I'm like, what is this? It's so cheesy. But that's the Love Island that we know and love, like the cheese factor. But I wish they didn't show it, because that, like, people, including myself, we would have all been like on pins and needles for 2 days. Yeah, because that aired on Tuesday night, and then Wednesday we had a break, and then Thursday we'll see, what happens, and everyone could have been shaking in their boots, right? But I think the fact that they showed it, it's like, oh, okay, like, people went through their stages of grief, and then at the end are like, oh, sigh of relief. Like, no, they aren't leaving. They aren't going anywhere. So I kind of wish they didn't do that, because that would have been just so much more like pent up. Like, oh my gosh, what is going to happen? Are they going to leave? Are they going to come back? I obviously they are, knowing the ending, but it could have been cool for them not to show it. So the recoupling with the girls. Amaya is single. She has to go up to the front. And the way that they did this, especially with the guys, like, you saw it so much more on their end. It was like kind of like hot potato, where it was like, okay, if anyone in the villa is interested in Amaya, in getting to know her, or I guess in coupling up with her, then stand up, which means if you stand up, that means you're choosing to leave your couple. And so obviously all eyes were on Zach. Is Zach going to stand up and leave his couple with Olandria, knowing the fact that Olandria is so closed off, knowing the fact that Amaya and him had shared a kiss a few times, and that they have been getting to know each other. So watching this, I was like, I knew that Zach was going to stand up. Like, I knew it. And to be honest, I was really happy for Amaya, because I just think she deserves it. I really do. I think she wears her heart on her sleeve. It really broke my heart when I think she said it to JD, and she was just like, I just need to be with a person that understands me. Not everyone understands me. And I've said this from the beginning, like, it's going to take a certain type of person to really understand Amaya, but once they do, like, it'll be fireworks. And I just love her. I love her so much. Amaya Papaya, she's one of my faves. And it's so funny because when she came in, I was like, who is this girl? Like, I'm not into her, but seeing the way her personality has shone through, some of her one-liners, I find her absolutely hilarious. And so honestly, yeah, it sucked for Olandria that she was single. I mean, it is what it is. It doesn't really matter now, because we know she's coming back in some capacity. But I was really happy for Amaya to be coupled up with Nick. And Olandria then goes to the front, and no one stands up for her. And again, the biggest reason is because Olandria was shut down from the moment she stepped into that villa. She wanted nothing to do with Casa, because she's just thinking about Taylor, which is just, I can go on and on about how fascinating that is, because are they really into each other? But whatever, that's left to be seen. I felt bad for Zach, though, because when the text essentially came in that Olandria needed to leave the villa, Zach panicked in that moment, and he was like, I don't want to be seen as the bad guy. I don't want to be seen as a bad guy. And, he knows that Olandria is loved. He knows that the villa loves her. And I'm sure maybe even saw the America votes, and seeing that she was like top 4 girls, like, he didn't want to like disrupt what they had going on. And, I was happy with the girls' responses. Like, no, it's like, it's not your fault. It's totally not your fault. I felt bad for him in that moment, but I think he didn't really as soon as he realized and that text came through that Olandria was leaving the villa, he was like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Here's the thing why I knew Olandria and Nick were not going to leave the villa, is because in the very beginning of the episode, Ariana said that everyone is going back to the villa. Everyone. So that already was clue number 1. She didn't say that for a reason. Everyone, Number 2 is, in the text, it never said that they're getting dumped. It just said that they're leaving the villa. So there were a few clues that sparked me thinking. And yeah, it's exactly why I was like, there's no way. There's just absolutely no way. So, Olandria too, I'm so sorry, Olandria, but I'm just like, it's giving a little Delulu. Like, she's standing up there and she's like, it's okay. All the girls are bawling their eyes out. Bawling, which rightfully so. Everyone was crying. Nice to see just how close they really are as friends. And Olandria is very stone-faced. She doesn't want to cry. She doesn't want to be emotional. She says, I've had to be strong my whole life. That's kind of what I do. And she's standing up there and she's like, don't worry. I'm going to find Taylor. I'm going to find my cowboy and we'll find each other. And I'm just like, this is giving Delulu. Again, do you really genuinely think you two have a strong connection? And when she finds out about Clarke, however she finds out about Clarke, whether she gets a video, whether she goes to the villa, whatever it is, she's going to spiral. That's for sure. And maybe she'll regret not getting to know the guys at Casa. Because if Taylor is exploring this connection, which technically is what you should be doing, right? And obviously, too, there was no spark with him and Olandria. So obviously, he's going to explore this connection because he knew that he didn't have anything physical with Olandria. When Olandria was leaving the villa and Zach wanted to pull her for a chat and she was like, no, you can save your words. I was like, wow. Like, okay, queen. And I get it. Like, Zach doesn't owe her anything. Like, you literally have known the guy for not even 48 hours. Like, she doesn't need to hear what you have to say. It doesn't really matter at this point. You didn't have a connection. I get where he was coming from, but I also get where she was coming from, where she was like, I don't need to hear it. I'm good. Like, let's move on. It's done. It's over with. We obviously know that she's coming back, whatever that capacity may be, but obviously with Taylor getting to know Clarke, it's going to be spicy. So can't wait. We'll see what happens in the next episode, right? Now the guys were playing a game of hot potato because we had TJ that was single. So TJ stands up. Vanna then stands up for him. So they get partnered up, leaving Ace single. Ace stands up at the front. Then Coco stands up for him. Coco then is now partnered up with Ace, which then leaves Taylor single. Taylor stands up at the front. Clarke stands up for Taylor. Taylor and Clarke are coupled up with each other, which then leaves Nick single. So at this point, the only person to really be coupled up with Nick is Jaden. So at this point, we're like, is it going to be Nick or Austin? Who is Jaden going to choose? And we saw Jaden have conversations with both Austin and Nick. So to be honest, I really didn't know who she was going to choose. I was actually kind of surprised she didn't choose Nick, but maybe she did it because she just didn't want to get into any sort of like mess with him and Cierra. Who knows? But it seems like she's into Austin, which is fascinating to me. Fascinating that she's into Austin. But anyways, it was a big game of hot potato. Austin is thrilled. He's so happy. He's like, finally, once a girl wants me. So Nick is single. He leaves the villa. All the guys are crying and bawling their eyes out. And literally, we did not see them this emotional ever with any of the girls. Literally ever. And even Ace had tears. Like, all of them were so emotional. We've never seen it from them before. So, obviously Nick leaves and he jumps into the G-Wagon with Olandria and we don't know what they're doing. So, like I said, they can either be going to either villa. They can either be going to another villa that maybe has other bombshells. But then I'm like, that's way too much. That, like, inviting even more people, because look, not that I had to do any crazy math, but if there's 10 people on one side, 10 people on the other, not including Nick and Olandria, that's 20 people going back to the villa. Then there's Nick and Olandria, then that's 22. Like, that's so many people. There's no way they can bring in any more. There's no way. So it's now leading me to believe, does Nick and Olandria couple up with each other But then how does that work? Like, where do they couple up with each other? Do they go back to Casa? Do they go back to the villa? Are they separate? Are they together? I don't know. Like, I have so many questions on how this is going to play out, but we'll see in the next episode. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know. I haven't really been loving these 2 episodes, to be honest with you, just because I'm a creature of habit, right? I've watched all previous 6 seasons of Love Island. I've even watched some of the UK versions as well. And this is not a Casa that we know. And it's really not a Casa that I'm loving. So it's just hard for me to buy into this new format, knowing what the original Casa format can do. But like I said, I just think that they had to pivot because, you know, there's no solid couples here. So let's see. I'm curious to see how it all plays out. I'm obviously very open-minded. If Nick and Olandria become a thing, I am going to scream because I don't know. That is just such a mass-produced, mass-manipulated situation by the producers if I've ever seen one. So we'll see. But I will be back very, very soon, before you know it, to recap, I guess, exactly that. What happens with Nick and Olandria? Where do they go? Are they a couple? Do they go to the villa? Do they go to Casa? We have so many questions. I will be back before you know it to recap that and episode, I guess it's what, episode 19, 20? I've lost count. There's way too many episodes. I'm here recapping every single one. So make sure you like, follow, review, please. You got to, because it helps out the podcast. The more engagement, the better for me. So that'll do it for me today. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Please rate, subscribe, review, do all of the things. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at yourrealitycheck.pod. And I cannot wait to chat with you in the next episode. Bye.